So let's talk about what happened as a result of those laws and the hostility that came. The customs and the practices, all of these elements, remember, add up to the system of systemic racism. There was a specific hostility in the United States to Black wealth accumulation. To be sure, Black Americans were not the only group that saw violent resistance to their desire to acquire wealth. Native Americans had their land confiscated. Latinx and Hispanic folks had California, New Mexico, and other pieces of the western United States taken from them. As American actress Eva Longoria famously said, her family never crossed the border crossed her family. Now, this is not meant to undermine those who did cross the border, but to lift a relatively unexamined fact up to the light. For example, Asian Americans endured internment, harassment, and in some cases, confiscation of their businesses. However, when we go back to the establishment of the United States, part of our origin story is we decide who's white and who's black. And there are certain legal, cultural, and political agreements, structural and systemic, that are once again woven into the fabric of our system that either explicitly or implicitly say that no matter how poor you are, no matter where you are in the white hierarchy, you should be guaranteed a place above black people. That's the benefit, one of the big benefits of being white. This sets up a constant tension around black achievement. Today we have a wealth gap. Researchers state that, quote, the typical white American family has roughly 10 times as much wealth as the typical African American family and the typical Latino family. In other words, while the median white household wealth is about $100,000 to $200,000 in net worth, black people and Latinos have about $10,000 to $20,000 in net worth. And when it comes to black Americans, many use stereotyping to explain this gap. The accumulation of wealth is one of those things that is used as a wedge, say, between black Americans and other immigrants, Asians, Hispanics, and others. Also African immigrants new to the United States. You might hear about how all these immigrants worked hard and they're doing well. Well, that's true. Many immigrants work incredibly hard and do well. But black people still aren't doing well, not because they are lazy, not because they don't know how to save money, not because they don't care about education or whatever the stereotype. But wealth is generally built over generations, and black Americans have been working, saving, and educating themselves over generations. In fact, black Americans created a black educational system. The crown jewels of that system still exist today as the historically black colleges, or HBCUs, many of you may be familiar with. They have worked for free as enslaved people, as sharecroppers. They were landowners, entrepreneurs, and more. But what they encountered was an overwhelming system designed to undermine and prevent their ability to hold wealth or to accumulate wealth or transfer that wealth into the future. So what does that mean? Well, many of you may have recently heard about the Tulsa race massacres in Tulsa, Oklahoma. There was an area called Black Wall Street.